Hello everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to explore a deeply emotional journey from the peaceful mornings in the garden to the laughter of children to the unexpected return of a grandfather after 2 long years. We'll follow the tension, the unspoken pain, the heartfelt reunion, and finally, the warmth of a family finding peace again. If you enjoy this kind of storytelling, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next video. Here is a careful, natural, and faithful English translation of the story. Mornings in the gardenia orchard always began with a special kind of light. Sunlight filtering through the leaves, golden like honey, falling onto clusters of ripe red fruit swaying in the breeze. In that space, the laughter of the women rang out across the garden, drowning even the shrill cicadas of summer. Amid those laughs stood Huyen on an old bamboo ladder, her hands swiftly picking fruit, humming softly as she worked. As if Uncle Ho were here on this day of great victory. Sweat ran down her cheeks, but her smile never faded, especially when the women teased one another about this year's harvest. Too little fruit. Prices had crashed so badly, the orchard owner didn't even want to pick them. 16,000 a kilo. Dirt cheap, it's scary, someone complained, only to burst out laughing again, as if nothing could spoil a beautiful morning like this. Huyen nodded when invited back to someone's house for water and roasted peanuts. But in that moment, her eyes drifted far away. 2 years had passed since she left her husband's house. She had lived quietly like this, quietly working, quietly enduring, all for Maya to grow up in peace, untouched by the troubles of adults. The singing rose again in the orchard, sadder this time, though perhaps none of the women noticed. Missing mother, missing father. The bird has flown far away, no longer waiting. Huyen paused for just a second, her hand tightening around the stem of a red gardenia fruit, like a drop of blood freshly clotted. She knew. Today would probably not be as peaceful as the others. A gentle breeze passed, stirring the smell of village earth, and with it, a vague anxiety. Light as silk, heavy as stone, slowly growing in her chest. When she stepped inside, sunlight from the porch followed her across the old, stained tile floor. Maya was still napping, curled up like a kitten, cheeks flushed, hair a tangled mess. Beside her stood little Vi, the neighbor's child, hiding behind her mother, round eyes full of curiosity. Huyen smiled softly and told the girl to come in and play. In no time, the little house filled with children's voices. Maya had barely opened her eyes before grabbing Vi's hand, pulling her into rock, paper, scissors, counting rock, paper, scissors in a bright, ringing laugh. That laughter made the whole house glow. Huyen sat down and gently retied Maya's hair. Her fingers brushed through the soft strands, and in that utterly peaceful moment, all her old wounds seemed to dissolve into nothing. Watching the 2 children play innocently, her heart felt light. When Maya won, she cheered. Vi clapped and laughed. Outside, the gardenia orchard still echoed with singing, while inside the little house, there was only children's laughter and the warmth of a mother's love. Huyen let out a soft sigh, releasing some of the invisible burden she had carried for 2 years. She wished time could stop right here, where there was no past, no blame, only her daughter and endless summer days. But that quiet noon was suddenly broken by a tall, silent shadow falling across the porch. Huyen turned. Her hand froze midair. Maya's grandfather stood there, his shirt faded from the sun, face gone, eyes ringed with dark circles after 2 years away from the village. Maya, still playing, suddenly froze, stared at him for a few seconds, then ran and clung to her mother's legs, voice trembling. "Mommy, there's a stranger in the house." The glass of water in Huyen's hand tipped and spilled. She stood up straight, lips moving as she tried to stay calm. "Dad, you've come to visit?" But he didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed only on Maya, the granddaughter he had never been close to. And the words he spoke froze the air solid. "I came to see my granddaughter, not you." He didn't shout, didn't raise his voice. Just those flat words were enough to cut straight into the heart of the woman standing before him. The women singing outside suddenly sounded very far away. Huyen lowered her head, clutching the hem of her shirt. 2 years. 2 years without a single visit. And today, he appeared when she least expected it, bringing back old pain that had never truly healed. Maya shrank behind her mother, eyes wide with fear. Huyen took a deep breath and forced a strained smile, the kind meant to soothe everything, even though she knew this meeting would not be easy. She had only wanted one peaceful day, but peace, it seemed, was still a luxury. He sat down without taking his eyes off Maya. His voice was hard and cold. Why hasn't the child been taught to recognize her own grandparents? 2 years, and you never once brought her home? Every word was sharp as a blade. Huyen stood there, fingers twisted together, answering gently. "I did plan to bring her back, but the old matters haven't been settled, Dad." He gave a bitter laugh. "Let old matters stay old. A granddaughter is still a granddaughter." Maya, still hiding behind her mother, whispered, "I don't like this man." A child's words, yet they stabbed Huyen's heart. She knelt and hugged her daughter, voice softening. "This is your grandpa, sweetheart. Don't be scared." But the way he looked at her was still full of resentment. Resentment over the divorce from Thuc. Resentment that for 2 years, he had no family left to come home to. The little house suddenly felt cramped and suffocating, filled with words not yet spoken and old stories that refused to stay buried. Outside, the women still sang in the orchard, but inside, there was only the pounding of hearts, heavy breathing, and pain quietly rising from memory. The air in the house remained thick long after the tense conversation. When the grandfather suddenly stood, something seemed to fall in the middle of the room, heavy and indescribable. He placed a carton of milk on the old table. The soft thud carried the weight of 2 years apart. His voice was hoarse, choked. "I still haven't forgiven you. Today, I only came to see my granddaughter. Next time, I'll come again." Huyen stood a few steps away, chest tight, as if someone were squeezing it. She understood every word he said, and everything he didn't say. In his eyes was not just disappointment, but emptiness, and a love hidden beneath pride, and the hurt of a father who could not accept his son's broken marriage. Maya, still hiding behind her mother, peeked out when she heard this and whispered like a mosquito, "I'll only go if Mommy Huyen comes too." A child's words, yet they twisted like a knife in the adults' hearts. The grandfather froze, stunned for a moment, then gave a sad smile Maya would probably never understand. He bent down, opened his arms slowly, and hugged the granddaughter he barely knew. The embrace was clumsy, yet desperate, as if trying to hold on to something he thought he had lost forever. "I'll come again," he said. But it seemed meant for both Huyen and Maya, a promise to himself as much as to them. When he let go, his departing figure looked unsteady in the doorway. His steps were heavy, slow, as though each one carried memories no one had spoken aloud. Huyen stood silently watching until he disappeared behind the areca palms. The silence in the yard stretched on endlessly. From the gardenia orchard came whispers. He hasn't been back in 2 years. I heard the grandmother is really difficult. The murmurs drifted on the wind and clung to Huyen's ears like an ominous premonition. She bent down, lifted Maya into her arms, and kissed her forehead to hide her own red eyes. Maya wrapped her arms around her mother's neck and rested her head on her shoulder, blissfully unaware of the storm that had just passed through the grown-up's world. The sunset poured crimson into the house, painting everything in soft orange hues of parting and regret, making the afternoon strangely sad. Yet life always finds a way to bring warmth after the storm. As the sun neared the mountains, the creak of a bicycle sounded in the lane. Joe was home, clothes dusty from the road, sweat staining the back of his shirt. He wheeled the bike into the yard, his gentle smile bright on his sun-browned face. "Maya, Daddy Jay is home." Maya leapt from her mother's arms and ran to him like a baby bird returning to the nest, hugging his legs and looking up with shining eyes. That moment lit up the whole yard once more. Huyen stepped in from the orchard, hair damp with sweat, shirt streaked with dirt, but her eyes sparkled when she saw Jay. The village women teased again. "Lucky you, someone who loves you, someone to cook dinner." He laughed it off, said nothing, just rested a hand lightly on Huyen's shoulder. A quick touch, yet enough to comfort, enough to say he knew what she had been through that day. Without waiting to be asked, Jay went into the kitchen and started the fire. Soon, blue smoke rose in the dusk, carrying the scent of new rice. The crackle of burning wood mixed with the bubbling pot and the sizzle of hot oil. Ordinary sounds that together made the most peaceful music of a family dinner, something Huyen had once thought she would never have again. In the tiny kitchen, he moved clumsily, but his sincerity made everything endearing. Huyen leaned against the doorframe watching him, her heart softening. She had grown used to doing everything alone, used to carrying herself strong for 2 whole years. But seeing this man fussing over the stove for her, for the child, made her feel shared with. Something she had forgotten the feeling of long ago. Children's laughter running circles in the yard pulled her back. Maya was dragging Vi by the hand, begging to play their old games. Jay glanced back and called gently but firmly, "Don't let her go near the pond. It's slippery." Huyen nodded, smiling naturally, no longer forced or heavy, like the smiles she hid from others. Outside, the crimson sunset faded into soft purple dusk. In that light, the little house seemed to shrink, yet grow warmer than ever. It was no longer just a temporary shelter after a broken life. It had become a refuge, with footsteps coming home each evening, with children laughing, with a fire glowing in the kitchen every night. Above all, it was the place where Huyen felt seen, understood, and loved again. Even though the past was still there, wounds not fully healed. But today, watching Maya laugh, watching Jay bend to taste the half-finished soup he had cooked, she knew the past no longer had the power to hurt her as it once did. A long day came to an end. A new chapter seemed to be opening. With Maya, with Jay, with tiny but very real rays of light beginning to flicker in her heart. The story begins in a peaceful garden, filled with morning sunlight, laughter, and women's songs as Huyen quietly works, wishing her daughter Maya a gentle childhood. Back home, Maya and little Vi play joyfully, filling the house with warmth
cô gái trẻ đang đối mặt với
Everything
khó khăn
shifts when Maya's
những khoảnh khắc gia
grandfather
đình
suddenly
trong
returns
bữa ăn,
after 2 years of
lên một cấu
absence.
trúc cho Maya
His cold
và
words
chia sẻ
and
với những người,
unresolved resentment reopen
phản
old
ánh
wounds,
tình yêu sâu sắc
making the
và sự
small
quan tâm
house
lẫn
feel
nhau trong
heavy
gia
with
đình.
tension.
Tuy nhiên,
Maya
sự bình
hides
yên của
behind
họ
her
gián
mother,
đoạn khi những kẻ
and
xâm nhập
Huyen
xuất hiện,
struggles to stay
tìm kiếm
composed
điều
despite her
gì và
pain.
làm nổi bật sự mong manh
Their
và những
encounter
nguy
ends
hiểm
in
mà họ phải
sadness
đối mặt.
as he leaves,
Những căng
taking
thẳng,
the
bất định,
unhealed hurt with him.
Huyền và Đệ lên kế hoạch cho một tương
By
lai an
evening,
toàn hơn,
Day
quyết
arrives
định trở
home,
về miền Bắc
bringing
để gần
comfort,
gũi hơn với gia đình và
stability,
mang lại sự ổn
and a
định cho
simple
Maya.
family meal.
Qua những thử thách, mối
His
đe dọa
presence
và những
restores peace,
kết nối
allowing
chân thành,
Huyen to breathe
câu chuyện
again
ca ngợi sức
and
mạnh
feel the
tình yêu,
quiet
gia
warmth
đình
of the
và sự
home
kiên
she
cường
carefully
trong công
built
việc,
for herself
tạo dựng
and
hy
her
vọng
daughter.
và an toàn.